Welcome back. Part 3, or Video 3, Part 2, Bible Study, ULC Northern Ministries. And since we forgot the intro, we're only going to intro the person that's going to start us out because she's better at this yoga thing than any of the rest of us. We're still learning, we're the men, she's the woman, so she's the smarter of the group here, okay? So,
You're right.
no.
Okay.
What we're going to do before we go on any further, because if you watched the video before with the scripture reading, it was some pretty heavy stuff. And so what we want to do now is we want to clear our minds and help you clear yours. So Kristen, can you lead us in like a breathing technique that can help us relax and come to oneness?
Okay. First, if anybody can do this to their feet, I would definitely do like a crisscross situation. Like, put your feet up top of the ear like this. If you can, don't worry about it. You can also sit on your knees or whatever. And then all you want to do is just breathe in and breathe out. Like you're one with the earth, and you gotta imagine you're a good place that you imagine, like anywhere. And just take deep breaths.
So we're what? Breathe in?
Breathe in and breathe out. Just through the nasal. Just not through the mouth, just through the nasal, because that normally helps me out. I don't know if it's going to help out everybody, but just train your breath just to do whatever it wants to do. And make sure you have your eyes closed and you're just relaxing. You can keep you can do your eyes open and stuff, but just like if you want to do stuff with your hands, like try to push your air out just a little bit, like you're like pushing all the negative out and just let it out. Usually helps with the cold room.
I feel
Or
calm.
incense.
Incense is good.
Incense.
Which we have that on our website. You can order incense.
And that should be it. I would stretch out your feet just for a little while, just in case you get all tired out for doing that. I would stretch out a little bit.
Okay. So, in this part, we're now going to break down the scriptures, beginning with, again, Psalms 2. And these are going to be verses 1 through 5. And we're going to paraphrase based on our research in the Strong's Exhaustive Concordance for what the actual scriptures here meant. Why did the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bonds asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sits in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure. So, when we looked at the Strong's Exhaustive Concordance, this portion of the Bible was written in Hebrew Chaldaic. And the paraphrase that I came up with, based on those dictionary words that were here, is why do the non-Hebrew nations stir things up and make commotion over meaningless things? So let's start there. How does that sound compared to how it's written? Does it sound differently than...
It sounds more genteel. It doesn't sound like they're being rude to outsiders.
No.
Does that sound different? I mean, does that put a different take on that beginning of that scripture for you?
Yeah, it does for me.
So how does that make you feel now as a Christian? Does it make you feel like, oh my God, we're actually supposed to judge people?
I was always taught not to judge somebody. But the way that I was always, not like always wrong, the way that I would say to myself, if somebody calls you out first, you have the first swing or the first say.
Right. If they call you
and
out,
that's
you have
really
the right
not
to
being judgmental.
Right.
Well, to me, what that's saying is, if you got to judge rightly. Judge as you want to be judged. If you don't want to be judged harshly, be gentle about it.
Yes.
If you don't want to be...
There's good judgment and there's bad judgment. I mean, I try not to overstep my words when I'm around a transgender or,
anyone.
Right. Yeah,
anyone who has a partner or anyone, because sometimes I step over those boundaries and sometimes I have to watch what I say and,
Because we all have our own personal viewpoints. Like, okay, for me, I'm straight. If asked what my preference is, I would be white, male, heterosexual. Okay? Does that mean that I'm elite? No. Does that mean that I am privileged in any way, shape, or form? No. I'm a poor, white, heterosexual male. But I'm rich. I'm rich in friends, associates, and I'm rich in spirit. So, basically, instead of we go back through the reason that I said these words sound harsh is the word heathen has always been used. Like my grandfather in the church I grew up in, and the church that my ex-wife grew up in, heathen meant a person who was unknown by God. That's not what it meant. The word heathen meant non-Hebrew or foreign. So if we do this, why do the foreign nations stir things up and make commotions over meaningless things? Meaning, what is meaningless? Should we fight over food, shelter, clothing?
No.
No, we shouldn't. We should share.
Barter. And barter fairly.
I'll give you my goods and or services for your goods and or services. Our excess we can trade.
Right.
Yep.
Or even I can give you something now if you can give me something later.
So those of you that oppose the global market that helps the third world countries that have some really nice products and services to provide us, and you think that that's hindering our local businesses, just because they're foreign doesn't mean that we're not supposed to coexist with them.
Yeah. Using two sides of that same argument, coexist, not only are we supposed to share with other nations, we're not supposed to outsource our own people constantly to undersell ourselves.
Right.
We're supposed to share equally. Like, I, for one, have a hard time understanding the Middle Eastern dialect. So I want to speak to somebody that speaks in a closer dialect to my own. Because I don't understand that Middle Eastern dialect. Please give me...
So basically you're saying that there's communication bridges, and with those communication bridges you need someone that's not going to frustrate a situation that's already frustrating.
Right.
Not that you don't like those people or that they don't belong here.
No, it's let me speak to somebody I understand.
Yeah, my opinion is I like to learn different things. I mean, if it's different cultures and stuff like Mexican, Asians and stuff like that, I love their art and everything else. I love to get to know more about like Chinese, Japanese, like anything. Like
And it's fun. It is fun to...
especially their holidays and stuff. I mean,
Okay,
it's
so
awesome.
Moving on to the second chapter, or the second verse here. The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying. Now, when I went in again, this is Strong's Exhaustive Concordance with the Greek and Hebrew lexicon. It kind of translates to this a little closer. The powerful and the elite establish themselves and join together against Yahweh. And Yahweh's appointed rulers or preachers, saying in their hearts, let us destroy the ways of Yahweh. Let's tear down his anointed. Let us separate ourselves from the holy divine and his rule. Simply put, let me alone, God. I don't want you and I don't need you. Let me alone, preacher man or preacher woman. I don't want you or need you or your guidance. Yahweh, the one who sits in the heaven, will laugh at these doings. Now, that sounds more like the God that I know than this vengeful God.
Yeah.
Yahweh, our Father, Creator, the All-Father, the All-Chronos, whatever, is not going to listen to all this commotion because it starts out with meaningless things. Why y'all make commotion over meaningless things? I'm going to sit up here and laugh. As a grandpa, as a dad, as a parent, when our kid does something stupid, or our grandkid does something stupid, and they actually stumble over themselves or something, if they get hurt, we're going to be like, oh man. But at the same time, if they don't get hurt, we're kind of going to laugh at them, right? So this is saying that Yahweh who sits in the heavens will laugh at these doings. He's going to laugh. He is going to laugh at all this commotion, all this stirring, all this action. He's going to laugh at you if you try to disobey the natural order of things.
Yeah.
Now that sounds more like the God I know from the New Testament.
Yep.
Yahweh shall command those elite and those powerful.
You just skipped part of this. Yahweh shall mock their vanity.
Oh, Yahweh shall mock their vanity and toy with them, forcing them to fall and stutter. So he's saying, I'm going to laugh at you. And I'm going to cause you to fall. I'm going to cause you to fall and stutter in all of your meaningless commotion. Huh. Yahweh shall command the elite and the powerful to be suddenly frightened, to fear his anger, and he will startle them with paranoia.
They're coming to take me away. Hee hee ho ho ha ha.
So this scripture, when I said we're going to be amazed at what these words truly meant, how much different is that meaning from the Strong's original words of the Hebrew text compared to how that sounded? Just on this first part. High Priest Jay?
It sounded like...
Young man, we need you to go play or watch TV. This is live.
This is like, go.
And what it... Basically, the original way, the King James Version, or later versions even, make it sound very violent, very disturbing, and very destructive. God has always been a loving being, even though he sounds really harsh at times, but like a misbehaving child, we have to be disciplined if we're to learn the proper way, the acceptable way to do things.
So doesn't that go to our tenets that everyone needs to live, learn, and grow at their own pace and at their own unique pace and in their own unique way?
Yeah.
Right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So is that kind of what this scripture is saying? Is I'm going to laugh at you for screwing up, especially considering that most of it's meaningless that you toil over.
Right.
And I'm also going to laugh when you are afraid of judgment. But here's something else. How many people can honestly say, I'm glad that I don't have multitudes and millions of dollars to contend with, because I'm sure that at every corner, people who have this much money they got to contend with are probably paranoid that someone's going to try to take it.
Yeah.
First and foremost, the government with taxes. Right? What's the first thing we're scared of our money? Even us workers, the workers. Yeah, 30% of your income's gone, man.
So try that again here in America. It's 33%.
I'm just saying 30% on the average. We're giving the government a little bit of credit. You're greedy. But not right now. You just keep giving us stimuluses and we're going to be happy.
But
bought my car.
Speed up the process a little.
Yeah, man. Come on, open up the coffers. It's all meaningless. We're none of us. Listen, here's what it is.
Yeah.
Seriously, I don't remember who said it, but it was in, like, I play Civilization.
Yeah.
And in Civilization 6, they had all like these quotes when different things come up. All right? And I'm wanting to say it was Aristotle, but I may be wrong. But they said, why is it that mankind, humans, take serious what the gods created for fun? Why do we take life serious when the gods created for fun? So let's come to this scripture and the meaning. God laughs at our meaningless commotion. God laughs at us.
And here's a question. Go ahead.
I was about to say something because today's society, I would say, does not make any sense whatsoever. I mean, back in the 90s when I was little, it made sense for me. And it probably made sense back in the early 70s for Jay.
Early? I was born in 75.
75, okay, 80s, early 80s, sorry.
Late 70s. Me, I'm early 70s.
And it's like 2000s for me, but still, I was born in 93, so.
I still made sense of everything when I was in my teens.
You want me to say something, guys? For real?
Sure.
In the 70s, the only thing that made sense was sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Now, let's take that root in the 70s, sex, drugs, rock and roll. And so today, we have pansexual, unicorns, which blew me away when I heard out what that meant.
If you want to know, look it up yourself.
We have transgender, we have technology, we got video games. I mean, understand, I'm not judging anybody for what they're doing because you are who you are. You do you, I do me, and let us hope we can all meet in the middle. But it did make sense in the 70s was sex, drugs, rock and roll. In the 80s, early 80s, it was not so much sex, it became safe sex, drugs and rock and roll. In the 90s,
it became safe sex, safe drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah.
In the 2000s, I don't know what happened. It became any kind of sex, so long as it's safe, any kind of drugs, so long as it's safe, and any kind of music, so long as you like it.
Yeah.
And it's not rock and roll. I'm sorry, rock and roll went out the window in the early 2000s.
Other than, we have stuff. I like rock and roll.
Because I know you're recording this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you get me a cup of water? Because I need to rinse and spit. Because
Yep, give me just a second. Brothers and sisters, we shall see you in a moment.